Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Huber and I'm a seminarian for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis, and I'm so blessed to be here for the summer. I'm excited, and I've been asked to talk a little bit about my vocation story. So here goes nothing. I'm from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, and I grew up in St. Mary's of the Knobs Parish. As far as like early vocation signs, probably not a lot of them. I remember when I was little, I ran out of the back of the church under a pew, screaming apparently. That was one of my mom and dad's favorite stories from when I was little. So just different things like that. But we were always involved in the church. My parents, I am very blessed with two great loving parents. They did all kinds of ministries growing up. St. Vincent de Paul Society, different things for youth ministry, different things for a church picnic. I mean, everything, Eucharistic minister. So they got all of my siblings involved at a very young age, and I'm the youngest of four. So growing up watching my siblings do youth ministry made me think, oh, I want to do that. So I was always involved in youth ministry from the get-go. Retreats, mission trips, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of high school, I had never really thought about the priesthood yet, and so I was really good at math and science, and I was like, what else do you do besides study engineering, especially when your dad and your brothers all went to Purdue? So I went to Purdue and got to Purdue and hated my first year, struggled and couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, couldn't pick a major, wasn't really involved in St. Tom's, the Newman Center on campus right away. And then finally, things started clicking. I got involved at the Newman Center. I went on a spring break mission trip with the Newman Center and picked a major, finally, picked construction, and things started clicking. I went on my first internship. I came back my sophomore year, got more involved at the Newman Center, started leading a men's group, and eventually started going to adoration at a parish or / hospital. It's like a 24/7 adoration chapel across the river in Lafayette. And it was in adoration when I finally slowed down and just sat in the silence of God, and I finally heard the invitation of becoming a priest. And wow, I did not like it. I was dating a girl at the time, so that was frustrating. I was really liking what I was studying in construction, and that was starting to click. So lots of fears and lots of frustrations at the beginning, and I just continued to go to adoration, and it continued to be on my heart. Not every time, but often enough that I was like, I need to start checking this out. So time goes on, I continue to not check it out because I'm a hard-headed person. And junior year, I become the youth minister at St. Tom's, and I loved it. I loved the middle schoolers, I loved the high schoolers, and that's all I talked about. We would go to construction dinners, and I would sit with these CEOs, and we would always talk about church or family or what I was doing in youth ministry, and all my friends in my major were talking about construction jobs because that's what you're supposed to do. So it's funny how God works, because I guess I should have seen it coming a while before I finally jumped in. So junior year goes on, and I continue to be involved at St. Tom's. And finally, junior spring, I was like, I need to start talking to people about it. So I talked to some priests that I knew on campus, some priests that I knew from back home, and I started going on discernment weekends, with the Dominicans and with Franciscans, and just asking the question of, is seminary an option, or at least I need to go on retreats and ask some questions about it and talk to some priest about it. And so finally I get this dream internship of my life. I worked for the structural engineering firm in Michigan and loved it. My last summer of college, everything lined up. I loved the job. We did awesome projects. The people there worked on the Miami Dolphins football stadium, and I love sports, and I love the Miami Dolphins. Don't ask me why. It's been a long, sad life. But I love it. And it was the job was awesome. The people that I worked with were awesome. I met this wonderful group of young adults in the church, my third day up there. And instantly I had 30 or 40 new friends that I still keep in touch with, some of them today. So God gave me everything I could have imagined. And also during the summer, I went on a come and see for a diocesan retreat. And it was at the Detroit Seminary. It was with Detroit guys, Michigan guys, but they let anyone come. And at that retreat, I was like, maybe I was jumping the gun with religious orders. Maybe I need to look at the diocesan priesthood. And so the summer continues on after this retreat. Everything continues to go well. And then, to top it off, the CEO, the last day of the job, said, "We want you to come on full time." And with my major, I was like expecting at least to go to grad school to even get a shot at going full time at this company. And they offered me one with an undergrad degree. And I looked at the CEO and I said, after pausing for a long time, "I'm sorry, but I think I need to go to seminary." And what do you do? And so I just told her at lunch, and she was not super surprised because I think I had already talked to someone at work about it, and so he, I think, let her know. And she was super supportive. She gave me till Thanksgiving to think it over. I went back to Purdue for my senior year, reached out to my vocation director and said, Father Eric Augustine, I was like, "Father Eric, I know you don't know me, but I think we need to talk." So we started getting dinner once a month. And then at Thanksgiving, I still hadn't started applying for the diocese, but I was like, I got to get this answered. So I called the company and told them I couldn't take the job. And then Christmas break, thank God, the diocese let me start applying. So the nerves started to ease a little bit. And then the spring was just nothing but peace. My senior spring semester was just nothing but God's peace. All throughout all of the different interviews I had to go through, the test I had to do, like God's peace was just guiding me and just bringing me farther and farther into the process, even though it took way longer than usual apparently because of whatever with the meetings and schedules and stuff. And so I remember going to graduation and all my friends had all their jobs lined up because our major had 100% job placement. I was yet to be accepted into seminary and I had no job and I had no plan B. And all of them at graduation, like all of my buddies were kind of nervous and like they had their like jobs lined up, their apartments lined up, and they were nervous and I had nothing lined up and I was not nervous. It was surreal. So that summer I finally got the call. I was accepted. Started seminary my first year at St. Meinrad. So that was now 3 years ago. I've been in it for 3 years. And the first year the peace kind of went away and I was frustrated. I was like, "God, you got me here. And where are you at now?" So through spiritual direction, through trying to give my all to the community, through like good conversations with my diocesan brothers, through all kinds of things, God slowly was like showing me just different things that He just wanted me to learn about myself, about Him. He wanted me to grow deeper in my prayer life. And it took a while, and there was so much to get used to at St. Meinrad too, because like I said, like Purdue was huge. I went to Purdue and it was a huge campus, and then I went all of a sudden to a school of 100 people. And so to get used to being around the same 100 people all the time, praying, eating, studying with all these people all the time, it just took a while to get used to. So I remember there was a time in my second year where it was in adoration again. And I finally came to the realization of like, God had called me to seminary and God wasn't making me stay. Like God was giving me the choice. Like, and I could probably say that out loud the whole time. It might not make sense. I'll try to explain it a little bit. But like finally in my prayer life, I realized like, God, you love me so much that you're inviting me to this priesthood, to your priesthood. But I can also say no. Like I always dreamed of having a family. I always wanted a family. I thought I would do construction. I thought I'd live just the normal Catholic family life. And God had different plans. And all of a sudden I realized I could say yes or no. And that freedom was just incredible. So that was 2 falls ago, I guess. And that second semester of that school year, my second year of seminary, I slowly started to realize, God, I want to stay. Like I desire this. This is out of my comfort range. A lot of this isn't really my natural skill set, but you're calling me and I want to say yes. Like I want to, I desire it. It's fulfilling. I'm finding joy in it. I'm finding your peace in it. So then last summer I went to Mexico and Had a great experience in Mexico. Came back with a new love for the Eucharist due to all just the amount of time that I spent in front of the Blessed Sacrament that summer due to not understanding too many homilies. I needed some extra time with Jesus to get me through that summer. Came back for First Theology this past year and finally started studying theology and got out of my first 2 years of philosophy, thanks be to God, and loved studying theology. There's still a lot to learn. I'm looking forward to my next couple years in seminary, but it's been awesome. It's been a journey, and God has transformed my life in ways that I never thought imaginable. God's given me new relationships, and I know there's new relationships here that I'm so excited to start and watch blossom. But even at my old ministry assignments, or in seminary, God has given me so many new relationships that have just kept me going, and it's exciting, and I continue to experience His love in new ways. So all of that to say, that is my vocation story. That is where I'm at today, and there's still transformations to come in the years to come. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for listening to my story.